You're making me laugh. I like him.
I think Greaves came from Sunland. I'm convinced.
What? What is Sunland?
Oh, I do know a little bit about Sunland.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, Felix mentioned that in the right here on page 6.
What?
But the rest of the paragraph is blotted out. It looks like a liquid hit it. And can you tell us about this?
It's the only place in Florida that scares the crap out of me.
You think Greaves is from Sunland?
What's the name? Okay, what is the name of this place?
It's called Sunland Mental Facilities.
What?
So, around 1952, a new series of state-of-the-art tuberculosis hospitals opened and were named W.T. Edward Tuberculosis Hospitals in honor of an important figure in the state's healthcare industry, a.k.a. he gave a lot of money to hospitals.
Absolutely, yeah.
So a total of 12 tuberculosis hospitals were built all over the state of Florida, including Tallahassee, Miami, Mariana, Tampa, and Orlando. Tampa.
I think you opened up for that hospital.
Actually, that was in Orlampa.
Okay. So all the buildings were built the same, 5 floors, and were very long and thin structures. So basically it was like just long hallways, very thin hallways, nowhere to hide, just long hallways that would branch off from like a main
Why would you
building.
need to hide in a tuberculosis hospital?
Oh, you'll figure
okay.
it out.
It was designed into the hospital, and here's where the patients will hide from their terrors.
Longer corridors.
All right.
More corridors.
This is a hiding nook.
Oh, I got your nook for you right here.
In the morning, it's a breakfast nook.
It's great.
After the afternoon, it's a total hiding from terror
If you're
nook.
having a very high-end party and people want to hide.
Yes.
You guys won't be laughing once I tell you why.
Probably tell
Right?
me.
I don't like that.
So the thought was at the time that the fresh air was the best treatment for tuberculosis. So each building had a crazy amount of windows opened by cranks. The 2 locations you hear most about are the locations in Tallahassee and Orlando. And what you usually hear about is a history of abuse, neglect, and torture.
Oh, no.
But before it all went down, the hospitals had a great reputation for tuberculosis treatments. However, by 1969, development of antibiotics to treat tuberculosis had been very successful, and all of the W.T. Edwards tuberculosis hospital locations had been closed.
Okay.
So, most of the hospitals were eventually converted into mental health facilities under the name Sunland Mental Hospital, or Sunland Centers, or later, Sunnyland. And this is when things got bad.
Okay, because Sunnyland is what I've heard from Central Florida lore.
Sunland.
Yeah. Have you not heard that?
Oh, yeah.
Sounds
Okay,
horrifying.
it wasn't Sunland, it was Sunnyland.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was that nickname, was that familiar only to the Central Florida location, or was it
actually-
all over?
Both the Orlando and the Tallahassee were known as Sunnyland.
Okay.
Both of them had that reputation of having a lot of issues in their facilities. So these Sunland centers cared for mentally and physically disabled adults and children, specializing mostly in children. And at first, the centers did well, but as soon as even a year in, mostly due to understaffing and lack of funds, things started going really bad. There were many stories of mistreatment of children who were either too young or too mentally handicapped to defend themselves and report the abuse. Electroshock, straitjacket restraints, and surgical lobotomies were accepted treatments at the time.
For tuberculosis or for
No, this is after they switched
they
over
converted
from
them into
TB.
mental hospitals.
So this was after 1969?
Correct.
Okay, so from 52 to 69, it was a TB clinic.
Correct.
And then it converted
into mental health facilities.
like a recess of whatever the hell they wanted to do on these patients.
We've got these beds. We can tie people down. Let's
Basically,
make it work.
if there was somebody that no one wanted to deal with, they kind of dropped them off at these. And some rumors even accused the staff of euthanasia, like what you use with dogs and cats and other animals.
Right.
But like many mysteries surrounding Sunnyland, the truth will probably never be known. The most infamous facility for patient neglect was the Sunland location in Tallahassee, actually, which not only suffered from severe staff shortages, but also significant deterioration of the actual building itself. So it just started like crumbling, and they didn't ever fix it. They just kept
Why would
treating
you?
patients.
Dilapidated.
They won't
Didn't even
notice.
matter.
You're crazy.
There's no one making any money. There's no one
Medication
working.
time. Come to the
Yes.
morning pit. Medication time.
They should have hired me.
See, this guy, he makes me laugh. He does make me laugh.
It's a
It
pretty
is funny.
somber moment, but he
So
definitely
really
brought some levity.
obsessed with
Yeah.
him.
Thank you.
Anyway, an investigation was conducted in the 1970s after reports of abuse and neglect ranging from getting bitten by rodents and pests to physical beatings and possible rapes.
Jesus Christ.
Specifically, the Orlando Sunnyland Center investigations found that over 400 patients had gastric feeding tubes and were being fed a cereal like gruel 3 times a day.
Oh, through a tube?
Yeah.
Like cereal through a tube. They don't even
Right.
liquefy it.
No, cereal-
It's like
Like
crunchy
just
gruel.
crunchy gruel. They described it as gruel. And they also show the facility was maintaining unsafe surgical areas and used short-term doctor authorizations to administer treatments on a long-term basis.
That's insane.
So a floor aide who bathed, fed, and dressed patients for about 2 years recalled that for 2 weeks after I went to work there, I couldn't sleep because of what I saw there. Everybody who worked there saw neglect, whether they admitted it or not. The state never gave us enough money. So people were seeing this happening.
Yeah, PTSD, and then over time, it's almost like the Nazi SS guard mentality of, well, this is standard protocol. Let's continue doing what we
Correct.
know.
Yep.
Nothing gets done.
And patients who survived, which I don't even know how, survived years later of some locations were called waking up to rats on their chests and in their beds.
Oh, God.
That's kind of cool. I mean, you got little buddies.
It's not
got
like
little furry buddies with you.
This is not the movie Ben.
So I don't even know if this group even still exists, but groups like the Association for Retarded Citizens stepped in and began speaking out against institutions like Sunland, which often treated its patients as subhuman, subjecting them to a variety of treatments that were considered cruel. By 1983, all locations had been closed. After these facilities closed, because of the rumors of all the torture and death that plagued these buildings in their later years, they became popular for ghost hunters. It's one of the most popular places to go.
Yeah.
What is that called? Urban Explorer?
Explorers.
Yeah. So in the reports, it was stated, specifically this is Tallahassee, even though there were no electricity in the building, the lights would turn themselves on and off for no reason. It had a basement where a morgue was, which that's super
Whoa.
disturbing.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah.
You know, come on. You got to
And in the
plan
morgue,
for everything.
and in the morgue, they would hear moaning sounds.
Well, so this was zoned. I guess this was zoned as a hospital.
Correct.
So you, I think, legally have to have a morgue if you might be treating people's end of life.
well, especially if you have like tuberculosis, which
I
at the
guess
time
so.
was
Yeah.
So
that
that
makes
would
sense.
make sense.
Yeah,
This
Be a
make it
lot
less
of dead
creepy.
people eventually.
yeah.
But if it was like a hotel, no.
No. And on the second floor, and this is still in Tallahassee, people would hear kids laughing and bouncing a ball.
Nothing's more scary than hearing kids
Right,
laugh
yes.
when there are no kids. You know?
Yeah.
If you hear
fun.
kids
It's
laugh, it's
the
like, oh,
creep-
kids, but
it's
you
the-
find out there's no kids. This is terrifying.
The
And then a
creepiest
ball?
noise.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Specifically that ball, like the dodgeball sound, you know, that empty sound.
Everyone
yeah.
knows that sound.
Yeah.
Why does it sound so just ingrained?
Because you got hit.
Because you got hit in the head.
Yeah,
Very close to your ears.
Right.
Angela nailed it right there.
And still in Tallahassee, other members of a ghost hunting group said they heard loud screams inside and they felt a strong feeling of anger when they were inside the building. So that was just in Tallahassee. In Orlando, strange lights, ghostly images, distant crying, and occasional screams have been reported of being seen and heard inside of the building. Some people have even reported the lingering sounds and gasps of patients who suffered and died of tuberculosis while being treated in the hospitals.
That is.
You ever wonder
horrific.
if it's just like homeless people like doing weird stuff in like a corner, like all echoey? They're
This
just
is like the second time you've brought this up. About
because
like,
homeless people are bored.
So homeless
You know,
guy,
like,
I
they got no
occupied, dilapidated buildings. Like
They got
what
no
are-
chores.
What
No
do you
side work.
Sitting quietly in the corner.
Why do you blame all of society's problems on homeless people, Kaz?
I don't. I
You
just.
do.
I think the spooky noises in dilapidated mental hospitals probably are homeless people.
And also UFOs, you said. Mass murderers, you said.
UFOs are definitely homeless people.
Oil
obviously.
prices.
It's true. There's a lot.
They took our jobs.
What job is that?
Being homeless. Who wouldn't take that job?
So both the Orlando and Tallahassee buildings have since been demolished in the past decade or so. The Orlando one was shut down after a teen had fallen in the abandoned building's elevator shaft and was severely injured. No one's really sure how that happened or why
You
that
gotta
happened.
be really smart.
I was going to suggest that we go take like a field trip and go check it out, but I don't want to fall down any like.
Nah, it's been
No,
demolished.
it's
though.
been
You can make this
demolished.
happen, man.
Okay.
And
damn
the
it.
creepy thing is that the site is now a playground.
Seriously? That's
What could go
the
wrong?
Kids with the ball.
You have got to be kidding me.
Awesome.
And some claim that swings can be seen moving entirely on their own as a man by the
Ooh,
spirits
let's
of
go.
tortured children.
We're there.
Oh my
If
God.
it's in Orlando, we're doing this.
Let's do it. Play on
they're-
the haunted playground.
Okay, so number one, that's super creepy. Is there anything else that I need to hear about before this goes any further? Because that's super frightening.
Well, Tallahassee's location is now home to a fancy apartment complex.
Oh,
Well, they deserve it.
And there's no hauntings in the new development.
Okay.
So.
Yet.
all right.
No, they paid
Yet.
him off.
We're working
Paid off
on
those
it.
Yes,
guys.
to be
I've heard
reported.
that people are working on it.
I have two things I got to say about this, okay?
All right. Let's hear it.
Number one, Fritz, real Fritz, was in Tampa staying at the Tampa Hotel in Ybor. It's called something. but it was a tuberculosis clinic. In the basement was the morgue. And I took the elevator down with my mother-in-law. When she stepped out into the elevator, this is around like midnight, she goes, I don't like it down here. It's really creepy. And I go out, and I pushed her. And she goes, no, stop. And I laughed.
You pushed her?
I laughed. Yeah. We then get back into the elevator, and I go back to the ground floor, and I hear my laugh echo back.
No.
So that's number one. So I totally buy this. Number two, so urban explorers love to post videos on YouTube of them ascending the Burj Khalifa, things like that, like really insane pictures. I wonder if the person who died in the elevator or was injured in the elevator shaft, if they were trying to take one of those selfies, like, look at me,
right,
and you just slipped. Everything's in disrepair.
Because you really deserved it. Because
Probably.
You're saying, hey, I'm in danger, and I'm going to take a picture of it. What could go wrong?
Right.
I love when I see that, when you see all these Facebook posts about, look at these horrible pictures right before people did stupid shit.
Urban Explorer sounds so much more tame to me.
It
I don't
does.
know what it is. It's
I
like
imagine,
walking
like, yeah.
outside of your apartment and being like, I discovered coffee to my left and Chinese
Exactly.
takeout to my right.
I never realized this cool
I
sandwich place
claim
was on
this
the corner.
land for Spain.
Oh, I get it. You don't like urban explorers, but you are rural explorers.